George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man, and I'm out here in the shop braving the cold to bring you the latest up-to-date goings-on with the Goofy cart. And I'm going to bring you over here and show you what I'm looking at. Okay, so here we are down underneath, and I'll show you what I did up here. I put this bolt in with a sleeve on it as a stop for this pulley so it can't back off. And while I was under here, after I finished doing that, I noticed, look at this here. See the snap ring up in there? The snap ring was missing and the pulley had dropped down quite a bit. And so I found a sleeve that fit on the shaft perfectly, and I put the sleeve up in there, and then I put the snap ring on. So that'll hold our pulley up in place. That's the input shaft on the transmission. Yeah, not good. And then over here, and see if I can turn my light so you can see and not be blinded, and so I can see and I won't be blinded. Over in here, the only thing I did was I adjusted this roller down, and so we're pretty good. There's a little bit of play up there, but that's not bad. That's on the power side, so that'll get tightened up, and the little bit that's down here isn't of any concern to me at the moment. So yeah, I'm good for that. And if worse comes to worse, I can actually slot the hole that this is mounted in. It's already slotted now, and make it so I can adjust it down a little bit more. Then over here, I haven't done it yet. I've had very little time this week, and I can't come out again tomorrow, and I can't come out on Thursday. So I'm trying to get this so I can drive it on Friday. This little bit of slack here, I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. All I'm going to do to take care of that is put a slot in this hole here so that I can adjust this pulley that's on the outside down and take up that slack. So as far as all of this underneath here, I'm pretty ready to go. I know I'm still leaking oil over here. Nothing I can do about that at the moment. If you look carefully over there, that's my parts cleaner over there. I have cleaned the 5-speed transmission all up, and it's not going to happen right away. I'm going to make sure I get everything else working first before I go swapping transmissions around. But that's the transmission that will go in eventually to replace the 3-speed that's in it now. And that one does have a seal on the bottom of it, so I won't have this oil leak issue. And I was also told by one of my subscribers, Big Daddy 1992, he told me about this stuff. It's called John Deere, what is it, row planter grease or something like that, corn planter grease. And that grease is solid enough so that it stops leaks, and yet when it gets running and it warms up a little bit, it loosens up so it acts more like gear oil. And all the things that I've read about it have been great. I was reading about one guy who had a leak that he couldn't get stopped in his steering box for a 55 Chevy, and he put that stuff in it and that took care of his leak. So I may even try doing that on my 3-speed here. All I would have to do is, I don't know that I'd even have to drain out all the stuff that's in it, but I have a plug in the top of the transmission. I could stick a siphon tube down in there and suck the STP out as much as I could and try putting the other stuff in. I really don't want to pull a transmission off of the Goofy cart because it is kind of a pain. It has 6 bolts that come up from the bottom, and you can see them there, the ones with the anodized black heads on them. And of course I'd have to take this pulley off. That's no big deal, but then I'd have to remove chains on the outside. Yeah, anyway, so that's where we're at down underneath here. Now let me take you outside and I'll show you what's going on out there. not outside, but up top. Okay, the other issue we had was with my chain here, my chain tightener not being tight enough. So what I have done is I have added another hole lower down, and I shortened my chain. I tried using a couple of other chain setups, but it wasn't going to happen that way. So yeah, so we're back using the one we had originally. I shortened it a little bit, plus moving this down here makes it tighter. So I think that's going to work. Now on to the next thing, working on our windshield. Woohoo! Sometimes there's no substitute for handwork. Well, there you have it. There's our new windshield. I will pull the clear off of it, but not right away. I think I'm going to leave the clear, I mean the paper coating. I think I'm going to leave that on there till I'm really ready to finish it off. I still need to do something about my radiator support, and I'm still going to use the spring thing, but I've got to figure out a way to mount it solid into the head or onto the body. There have been a couple of people who have made comments about the needless complication of having this chain running inside the frame like this, and having all of these pulleys here, and I've got what, 1, 2, 3 more sprockets up on top, and then you go around to the there's one, 2, 3 more sprockets if you include the clutch, and then you come out here and you got the sprocket on there, another sprocket there, another sprocket there, another sprocket there, another one back there, and seems like it's needlessly complicated. Well, let me say this about that. This is, after all, the Goofy Cart. Make no mistake about it. And we could have made things simpler in the back end too. The front end is fairly simple, but I could have even made that simpler. I could have just made a straight front axle, and well, we didn't have to have that coil over, that leaf spring in the front there with these radius rods going back. We could have just welded the axle right to the frame like most go-karts are, and we didn't have to have any suspension in the back. The whole point of this was not to do things that were easy and like everybody else has done it, but to do it in such a way as to challenge my abilities to fabricate things and imagineering, and just do it because we could do it. And yeah, there's going to be problems with doing it that way. If I had wanted a really simple build, I could have just stuck the motor right in the back and had one sprocket on the, I could have even had a torque converter set up and had it go right to the axle, and it'd been really simple, and this thing would have been done a long time ago. And of course, we didn't have to have a body on it either, and we didn't have to have a dashboard with gauges, and didn't have to have a shifter. You know, everything could have been a whole lot simpler if that's what we had in mind. But let me say this. This is the Goofy Cart. and it was never intended to be simple. And it's an exercise not in futility, but an exercise in utility. What could I utilize and what could I do to make it work and make it different? And one thing you'll have to agree, I don't think, and I've seen lots of go-karts and stuff with wheelbarrows for bodies. That's not unique to this build. But I have never seen anything quite like the Goofy Kart, if I may say so. And that was the challenge to myself, and that's the fun of it. Using our imagination to make things from junkyard parts and dump parts and thrift store parts and things like that. Just because that's the fun way to do it, you know? That's what it's all about. It's all about having fun. So I hope you all will understand that, and I appreciate the comments, and I'm not putting anybody down for disagreeing with my way of doing it, because certainly there are lots of other ways that things could be done. But this is the way I chose to do it, and I just expressed the reasons why. So I hope you'll enjoy it, and I appreciate all of you who have followed along for such a long time. It's been going on, I think it's probably close to 2.5 years since I started this build. And it's come a long ways from the first time that you saw it, for those of you who have followed along since the beginning. And I'm looking forward to when it will be more reliable than it is now. Of course, the problem is now that with winter here, it's not going to get used much. But we still have lots to do, because I haven't, well, for one thing, I haven't wired up my brake light yet. You know what I mean? So that's going to be taking some doing, because I got to run the wires all the way up front here. And we still have to modify our brake pedal, and I've got to mount somewhere down here. I have to mount a brake light switch, and we got to figure out a way to hook up our speedometer. And thanks to Zeedster, who showed me how he hooked his up, and I may use some idea like he did for mine. I already planned on using a bicycle drive. The problem I have is finding out where I'm going to mount that bicycle drive. And I'm still thinking about it. The simplest way to do it, I think, well, it wouldn't be simple. It still wouldn't be simple. But the easiest way to do it would be to mount it down in here somewhere, I think. The ideal way to do it, if I had more room, was to mount it right here on the side of the transmission. This output shaft runs exactly the same as the output shaft on this side, which is underneath this cover. But there just isn't enough room down in there. That would have been simple. Put my gear drive in there and just run my cable right up to the dashboard, you know what I'm saying? But there just is not enough room down in there to get even a bicycle drive. And it's not just the bicycle drive, but you have to have some way of, it's like a sprocket or something to run it off of. So there's my rant for today. And I'm not putting anybody down, and like I said, I do appreciate all the comments, whether you agree with what I'm doing or not. But I hope you enjoy having the fun that I've been having building it. And we're getting there, getting closer all the time. Thanks for watching, commenting, and subscribing. Again, I know I already said that. Till next time, this is George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man. Bye for now.